It is, perhaps, one of the hardest and most elusive tasks we are ever called upon to undertake. Still, it is not forgiveness itself that is difficult. It is the letting go of the past, the courage to face what has been done and to say, I choose to release this. I choose peace over pain. Forgiveness is a concept that, while universally recognized, is often misunderstood. It is easy to say, I forgive you, but to truly embody forgiveness is another matter entirely. It requires a profound shift in our thinking, our emotions, and our actions. One of the most important realizations we can come to is that forgiveness is not merely a favor we offer to others. It is, at its very heart, a gift we give to ourselves. When we experience harms, whether physical, emotional, or psychological, there is a natural impulse to hold on to the anger, hurt, and resentment. These emotions often feel justified because the wrongs inflicted upon us are real. We may feel that holding on to these emotions is a way of protecting ourselves, a way of ensuring that we don't forget the wrongs done to us. But in truth, it is not the other person who suffers from our anger, it is ourselves. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy weight day after day. It saps our energy, clouds our judgment, and steals our peace. When we forgive, we release ourselves from the constant burden of that weight. We choose not to let the actions of others define us, nor do we let the past continue to intrude upon our present. The idea that forgiveness is a gift to ourselves may seem counterintuitive at first. After all, when we forgive someone, it seems as though we are doing something for them, letting them off the hook, so to speak. But in reality, we are the ones who benefit most. Anger, bitterness, and grudges can consume us. They take up valuable mental. When we forgive, we are, in essence, choosing to make room for healing, for growth, and for a deeper sense of inner peace. Consider the alternative. If we choose not to forgive, if we choose to hold on to anger or resentment, we may feel justified in the moment. We may feel that by holding on to our hurt, we are somehow punishing the other person, or we are maintaining our sense of righteousness. However, what we often fail to see is that we are the ones who end up imprisoned by our own negative emotions. The person who wronged us may have long since moved on with their life, while we remain stuck in a cycle of anger, replaying the hurt over and over again in our minds. This constant reliving of the past prevents us from moving forward. It keeps us locked in a place of emotional stagnation, unable to experience the fullness of life that lies beyond the hurt. Forgiveness is an act of emotional self-liberation. It is the decision to break free from the chains that bind us to the past, to let go of the stories and narratives that keep us tethered to a place of pain and victimhood. When we forgive, we no longer allow the actions of others to have power over us. We take back control of our emotions, our thoughts, and our future. This is the essence of why forgiveness is a gift. We give to ourselves. It is also important to recognize that forgiveness does not mean that we have to forget what happened, or that we have to reconcile with the person who harmed us. There is a distinction between forgiving and forgetting, and between forgiveness and reconciliation. Forgiveness is about releasing the emotional hold the situation has over us, while forgetting and reconciliation are separate processes that may or may not follow. We may forgive someone without ever re-establishing a relationship with them, and we may forgive without excusing or accepting their actions. Forgiveness also allows us to acknowledge our own humanity. We are all fallible, we all make mistakes, sometimes causing harm to others, sometimes without even realizing it. To forgive others is, in part, to recognize that we too have been in positions where we have hurt others, and we have sought forgiveness ourselves. When we forgive, we acknowledge that we are not perfect, and that the people who have wronged us are not perfect either. We give ourselves permission to be human, to experience pain, but also to heal and grow. In this way, forgiveness becomes a reflection of our own compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. Moreover, by forgiving, we begin to cultivate a mindset of empathy and understanding. It's easy to become consumed by our own hurt, to focus on the wrongs done to us and the suffering we have endured. But forgiveness challenges us to look beyond our own pain and to see the bigger picture. We may never fully understand the reasons behind someone's hurtful actions, but forgiveness allows us to let go of the need for complete understanding. Instead, it invites us to release the grip of judgment and instead approach the situation with empathy and grace. This doesn't mean we condone the wrongdoing, but it does mean that we recognize the complexity of human relationships and the possibility for growth and change. When we forgive, we open the door to emotional healing. The wounds that have been inflicted on us do not heal while we remain tethered to our anger. It is only when we let go of the emotional weight that we can begin to heal. Forgiveness is like a balm for the soul, soothing the pain and allowing the heart to mend. It does not erase the scar, but it lightens the burden of carrying it. Forgiveness allows us to stop living in the shadow of the past and start living fully in the present, free from the weight of unhealed emotional wounds. The power of forgiveness lies in its ability to transform not only our relationship with others, but also our relationship with ourselves. It is a profound act of self-care and emotional well-being. By forgiving, we give ourselves permission to be whole again. We no longer let the hurts of the past dictate the direction of our lives. Instead, we choose to release the past, to forgive, and to move forward with a heart that is lighter, freer, and more at peace. This is why forgiveness is such a deeply personal gift. It is a decision we make for our own well-being, for our own peace of mind. We are not forgiving to earn the approval or acceptance of others. We are forgiving because it is the only way to find peace within ourselves. It is the only way to move forward, to heal, and to live the life we were meant to live. When we forgive, we do not merely free the person who wronged us, we free ourselves from the grip of past pain, allowing us to embrace the fullness of life that lies before us. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a way of excusing or condoning the wrongdoer's actions. Many of us believe that to forgive is to say, "What you did was okay," or "I accept what you did without any consequences." However, true forgiveness is not about minimizing the harm or erasing the wrongdoing. It is not about pretending that what happened was acceptable or just. Forgiveness is a conscious decision to release the emotional grip that the past has on us. It is about choosing to stop allowing the wrong to control our lives, our thoughts, and our future. When we hold on to anger, bitterness, or resentment, we are, in essence, allowing the person who wronged us to continue to have power over us. This cycle prevents us from moving forward, from healing, and from experiencing the peace and joy that life has to offer. Forgiveness, then, is not about giving the wrongdoer a free pass. It is about taking back control over our own lives. By forgiving, we choose not to let the past have power over us any longer. We choose to release the emotional weight that we've been carrying, to stop allowing the wrong to dictate how we feel and how we act. The person who wronged us may have caused harm, but they no longer need to dictate the course of our lives. When we forgive, we are effectively saying that we will not allow them to continue to control our emotions, our relationships. Forgiveness is not an easy thing to do, especially when the hurt is deep. It is a process, not a one-time act. It may take time to truly let go of the anger and pain, and that's okay. The goal is not to forget the wrong or to pretend it never happened, but to release its hold on us. We do not forgive because we are obligated to. We forgive because we recognize that holding on to resentment only harms us. Forgiveness allows us to heal, to move forward, and to reclaim our emotional freedom. One of the most powerful aspects of forgiveness is that it frees us from the need for justice or revenge. When we are wronged, there is often a natural desire for retribution, a longing for the person to pay for what they did, to feel the same pain they inflicted upon us. But this desire for justice can be all-consuming, and often it is an unrealistic expectation. The wrongdoer may never fully understand the extent of the harm they caused, or they may never apologize or make amends. If we wait for them to make things right before we can move on, we may be waiting forever. By forgiving, we release the need for them to make things right, and in doing so, we free ourselves from the grip of revenge. Forgiveness is also a way of protecting ourselves from becoming trapped in a cycle of bitterness. When we refuse to forgive, we hold on to the anger and hurt, and in doing so, we allow the wrongdoer to continue to take up space in our lives. This emotional attachment to the pain prevents us from fully embracing the present and looking forward to the future. Forgiveness, therefore, is a powerful act of self-liberation. It enables us to let go of the pain, to stop allowing it to shape our thoughts and actions, and to begin the process of healing. At the heart of forgiveness is the understanding that we are all human. We all make mistakes, and we all fall short of being perfect. When we forgive others, we are also acknowledging our own imperfections. We recognize that, just as we have hurt others at times, others have hurt us. Forgiveness then becomes a way of connecting with the shared experience of being human. It allows us to release judgment and embrace compassion, not only for others, but for ourselves as well. By forgiving, we are not condoning the wrongs that were done to us, but we are choosing to let go of the anger and resentment that prevents us from healing and moving forward. True forgiveness is not about ignoring the hurt or pretending that everything is okay. It is about acknowledging the pain and choosing to release it. It is a process of healing, of reclaiming control over our emotions and our lives. When we forgive, we take the power back from the wrongdoer and give it back to ourselves. Forgiveness allows us to stop reliving the past and start living in the present, free from the emotional burdens that once held us captive. Forgiveness can be difficult because it requires us to look beyond our own pain and to consider the person who has wronged us. It asks us to move beyond our hurt and to recognize that at the core, we are all fallible human beings capable of making mistakes. This idea can feel uncomfortable, especially when we have been deeply hurt by someone. The natural impulse is to cling to our sense of justice, to believe that the wrongdoer should be held accountable for their action. Yet, forgiveness is a powerful act that calls us to transcend this impulse and consider the human nature of both the victim and the wrongdoer. The truth is that we are all capable of hurting others, even those we love or care for. Just as we are imperfect and make mistakes, so too are others imperfect. This understanding doesn't excuse their behavior, but it invites us to see them not only as perpetrators of harm, but also as fellow human beings struggling with their own challenge. To forgive in this context is to offer empathy. It is to acknowledge that we are not so different from the person who wronged us. We are not so far removed from their mistakes and flaws. When we forgive, we are not saying that their actions were acceptable or that they should be free from accountability. We are choosing to recognize that, like us, they are capable of growth, change, and redemption. In a sense, forgiveness involves seeing the other person with compassion, understanding that their behavior is shaped by a range of factors that may be beyond our immediate understanding. This doesn't minimize the harm they cause, but it allows us to step outside of our own hurt and recognize their humanity. The process of forgiveness requires us to move beyond the role of the victim. When we hold on to anger or resentment, we often define ourselves by what has been done to us. We become trapped in a narrative of victimhood, where our entire identity is shaped by the wrong that was inflicted. This can be incredibly limiting. It reduces us to our wounds and prevents us from seeing ourselves as whole, capable individuals who have the power to heal, grow, and evolve. Forgiveness offers us an opportunity to transcend this role. By forgiving, we take back control of our story. We no longer allow the wrongdoer's actions to define us or to dictate the direction of our lives. Instead, we reclaim our power and move beyond the pain. It is important to note that forgiveness is not a one-time act, but a process. The emotions involved, anger, hurt, betrayal, are complex and deep-rooted. It is unrealistic to expect ourselves to simply let go of these feelings immediately, especially when the harm done to us is significant. Forgiveness is a journey that takes time, and it involves revisiting the pain, acknowledging it, and gradually allowing it to lose its grip on our hearts and minds. It's a decision we make repeatedly, not a singular act that magically erases the past. We may need to forgive more than once, especially when the pain resurfaces. But with each act of forgiveness, we move closer to healing. The decision to forgive also requires us to release the need for complete understanding. We often want to make sense of the wrong that was done to us. We may search for an explanation, an apology, or some form of closure that will help us process the hurt. However, sometimes the reasons behind someone's actions are beyond our understanding. People may hurt us out of their own unresolved pain, out of ignorance, or because of circumstances we cannot see. Seeking to understand their motives or to have them explain their actions can become an endless cycle that only prolongs our pain. Forgiveness offers us an alternative. Instead of waiting for the other person to provide the closure we desire, we choose to offer ourselves the freedom of releasing the need for understanding. We acknowledge that we may never fully comprehend why they acted the way they did, and we choose to accept that as part of the human experience. In doing so, we free ourselves from the endless loop of trying to make sense of the incomprehensible. Forgiveness also invites us to reflect on our own flaws and mistakes. We may not have caused the same harm, but we are not without fault. There have been moments when we, too, have hurt others, whether intentionally or unintentionally. The realization that we are capable of making mistakes, sometimes even inflicting pain on those we love, helps to foster a sense of empathy toward those who have wronged us. We begin to see them through a lens of understanding rather than judgment. This does not diminish the pain they cause, but it helps us move away from a mindset of anger and retribution. Instead of holding on to resentment, we begin to see the situation as an opportunity for compassion and growth, both for ourselves and for the other person. In forgiving others, we also create space for our own healing. When we are wrong, the pain we carry can become a constant presence in our lives. It can affect our relationships, our mental health, and our overall sense of well-being. By forgiving, we allow ourselves to heal, to release the weight of the hurt, and to make room for peace and joy. Forgiveness doesn't erase the memory of the wrong, but it allows us to move forward without being constantly burdened by the past. It is a form of emotional liberation, freeing us from the cycle of anger, bitterness, and hurt that keeps us anchored in the past. The act of forgiveness is not just an individual. Of course, reconciliation requires both parties to be willing to participate, but forgiveness opens the door to that possibility. It creates a space in which healing can begin, both for the person who wronged us and for ourselves. Forgiveness is ultimately an act of profound humanity. It recognizes that we are all flawed, that we all make mistakes, and that despite the harm we may cause, we all have the potential for growth, change, and redemption. By forgiving others, we extend to them the same grace we hope to receive in our own moments of failure. We choose compassion over judgment, healing over vengeance, and understanding over resentment. In doing so, we begin to transcend the hurt and move toward a place of peace, not just with others, but with ourselves. Healing begins when we choose to stop living in the shadow. Healing, however, requires us to step out of that shadow and into the light of the present moment. It means breaking free from the cycle of reliving the past and allowing ourselves the space to grow, to learn, and to move forward. Living in the shadow of the past can be comforting in a strange way. We become familiar with our pain, and over time, it can become part of our identity. The hurt becomes a lens through which we view the world, making it difficult to imagine ourselves outside of it. We may begin to see ourselves as victims of circumstances, defining ourselves by the wrongs done to us, rather than recognizing the strength and resilience we possess to move beyond them. This mindset can trap us, preventing us from fully engaging with life in the present. The pain of the past becomes a weight that we carry, and though we may not always be aware of it, it limits our potential for happiness, growth. Healing begins when we consciously decide to let go of the power that the past holds over us. We may have been hurt, but we are not defined by that hurt. By allowing ourselves to heal, we make the choice to redefine who we are, independent of the suffering we have endured. The process of healing requires healing is the gradual process of reclaiming our emotional well-being. And while it may take time, it is a process that is within our control. A crucial part of healing is learning to live fully in the present. By releasing the grip of the past, we open ourselves up to new experiences, new relationships, and new possibilities. Healing means shifting our attention away from the past and onto the present moment, where life is unfolding before us. This shift requires us to confront and process our emotions. It means allowing ourselves to feel the hurt, anger, or sadness without letting them consume us. It requires us to acknowledge that pain is part of the human experience and that it does not have to control our lives. Healing is about embracing our emotions, allowing them to pass through us, and then letting them go. By doing so, we create space within ourselves to experience peace, joy, and love once again. We stop living in reaction to the past and start living proactively, choosing to take control of our emotional state and well-being. It is also important to understand that healing does not mean that we erase the impact of past events. The memory of what happened may remain with us, but the pain no longer defines us. As we heal, we begin to change our relationship with those memories. We no longer allow them to dictate how we feel or how we act. Instead, we integrate them into our lives in a way that allows us to move forward with wisdom and strength. The scars may remain, but they no longer control our story. Instead, they become part of the narrative of resilience and growth, evidence of the journey we've been through and the strength we've gained along the way. Healing also involves reclaiming our sense of self. Often, when we are hurt, we may lose touch with who we are, or we may question our worth. The wrongs done to us can sometimes make us feel small or insignificant, but healing means rediscovering our inherent value and strength. It means recognizing that we are worthy of love, respect, and happiness, regardless of what has happened in the past. Healing is the process of reconnecting with our true selves, of rediscovering our power, our worth, and our ability to create the life we desire. Finally, healing requires us to let go of the need for perfection. We are all imperfect beings, and so too are the people who have hurt us. Part of healing is accepting the reality that life will not always be fair, and people will not always treat us as we wish they would. This acceptance allows us to release the unrealistic expectations that keep us trapped in the past. We stop expecting others to fix what is broken, and instead focus on what we can control, our own healing. This shift in focus empowers us to take ownership of our emotional well-being and to move forward with strength and resilience. When we choose to heal, we step out of the shadow of the past and into the light of possibility. We stop allowing the pain of what was to dictate the course of our lives. Instead, we embrace the present moment and all the opportunities it offers. Healing is the act of reclaiming our power, our joy, and our potential. It is the decision to stop living in the past and to start living in the present, fully engaged with life and ready to move forward.